Welcome. What we are witnessing in 2026 is no longer just a policy. It is a full-scale domestic mobilization. But as the sirens of ICE transport vehicles become a common sound in American cities, a much darker story is emerging. Beyond the economic charts and political speeches, there is a mounting toll of human lives and a fiscal black hole that threatens to swallow the progress of the last decade. Today, we are going deep. We are looking at the blood, the bone, and the billions behind the ICE surge. This is the data they don't want you to calculate. Let's start with the most uncomfortable truth: the human cost. Enforcement without oversight has historically led to tragedy, but 2026 has seen a sharp spike in fatalities within the ICE ecosystem. According to recent reports from human rights watchdogs, medical neglect in overcrowded detention facilities has reached a crisis point. We've seen cases like the tragedy in the Georgia Processing Center, where inadequate cardiac care led to avoidable deaths, and the specialized transport accidents that have claimed lives during high-speed transfers. When we talk about collateral damage, we are talking about parents being separated from U.S. citizen children, leading to a mental health crisis that will cost the American healthcare system billions in the long run. The loss of life isn't just a moral failing, it's a permanent stain on the social contract that once defined the American dream. Now, let's look at the cold, hard math. To execute a mass deportation of 11 million people, the federal government would need to spend an estimated $400 billion to $600 billion in direct costs alone. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The American Action Forum and the Center for American Progress have modeled the long-term impact. We are looking at a 4.7 trillion reduction in US GDP over 10 years. Why? Because you are removing 5% of the total US workforce. You are effectively amputating the hand that feeds the country. In 2026, the cost per individual deportation has risen to nearly $25,000 when you factor in judicial review, long-term detention, and international logistics. This is capital that is being diverted from the American taxpayers' future, money that could have funded the entire transition to green energy or fixed the national power grid. The ripples are already turning into tsunamis in specific sectors. Agriculture is in a state of production paralysis. In states like California and Washington, unharvested crops are rotting in the fields because the labor force has vanished overnight. This isn't a theoretical loss. It's a direct hit to the supply chain. We expect a 20% to 30% increase in fresh produce prices by the end of this fiscal year. The construction industry is facing an even grimmer reality. With a shortage of over 500,000 skilled workers, new housing starts have plummeted. If you are wondering why rent is skyrocketing despite a cooling economy, here is your answer. The cost of building a single-family home has increased by an estimated $30,000 due to labor scarcity. We are trading affordable housing for aggressive enforcement, and the middle class is the one paying the premium. There is a pervasive myth that undocumented immigrants are a drain on the system. The data proves the opposite. Undocumented workers contribute over $13 billion to the Social Security Trust Fund every year, funds they will never collect. They pay over $11 billion in state and local taxes. When ICE removes these people, that revenue doesn't just shift, it vanishes. This creates a taxation gap. Local municipalities and sanctuary cities that are currently being targeted are seeing a sharp decline in sales tax revenue, which funds schools and local police. We are witnessing a localized economic depression in neighborhoods that were once vibrant hubs of commerce. The ICE surge is effectively a tax on the American local business owner. Finally, we must consider the geopolitical feedback loop. When the U.S. destabilizes the economies of its neighbors by cutting off remittances, which account for up to 20% of the GDP in countries like El Salvador, it creates more poverty and, ironically, more migration. It is a self-perpetuating cycle of chaos. By weaponizing the border, the U.S. is undermining its own trade interest within the USMCA framework. making North America less competitive against the rising bloc of the EU and China. The 2026 ICE surge is a masterclass in high-stakes consequences. We have documented the loss of life, the staggering fiscal waste, and the imminent threat to the American dinner table. This is no longer a debate about right or wrong. It is an audit of a failing strategy. As the data continues to pour in, the question remains, is the price of this policy worth the collapse of the American economic engine? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. To keep following the numbers that matter, subscribe and hit the bell. This is a story that is only beginning. Until next time.